Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear the music. Hopefully all is well in your lives. Today we are going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons and the 8 games of it that I run. We're actually going to be starting with one of the games that, for very important reasons, I cannot do a little bit later in the stream because it is for a player who might be watching a little bit later. So we're going to be talking about my game that normally takes place on Tuesday, and that is Klaus the Gnome. We managed to get in a game of Klaus the Gnome recently, and some revelations have happened, so let's just hit on some highlights. So, portal discovered in ruins leads to Shadowfell. I have a feeling I might have to do some fiddling here to make sure that my text isn't just being written like super slow, but we'll work with this. All right. Dark creature in control. Dr. Zatz. Turned into incorporeal shadow undead. Alliance with Cressida Wizardress. Oops. Let's see. Klaus may have to perform a mafuda. If you don't know what a mafuda is, you probably didn't ever watch the original Dragon Ball, the series that preceded Dragon Ball Z. But suffice to say, that is a thing about capturing creatures that are mostly incorporeal. Sometimes in some kind of a container. In the case of Dragon Ball, they tried to use a rice cooker, which I thought was funny. So that was that. Expanding upon that, we are actually going to be putting in, let's see, next session, colon. I think we're going to have army fights undead that spew out of portal. Mostly nuisances. Cressida deals with... oh, I don't know. We'll say... Night Gaunt. While Klaus and his friends tackle Dr. Zatz. Cressida also... oh, I better finish this quick. I believe the Looney, the player for Klaus, is about to be here, so we better finish this. Cressida also will give a powerful item to help in the fight. All right, we better censor this. But toot sweet. Oh no! Toot sweet is a French term for really damn quick. And censorship has been achieved, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on from there. Let's see, scavenger hunt. Oh, I never got to do the scavenger hunt. Maybe we'll do that next. So I went back on my word, and we are including Topsy and Turvy. So let's actually, we'll keep this. Okay, prevented rise of Padoxos. Okay, that's all good. We know that. Okay, we know that too. Included Topsy and Turvy. No Jim Jar. We might bring them in later. So downtime. Downtime happened. Was a lot of fun. Scavenger hunt. We're gonna, let's say, save that for next time. Had I remembered that, I think it would have been more fun. But well, again, there are no wasted ideas, just ideas for another time. If you ever were like, oh, I made this whole city with all these NPCs and the players decided not to travel there, here's a secret. Don't waste it. Don't throw it away. Don't delete that file. Keep it. Use it a different time. Eventually, the group will go to a city and you can use that information. Even if it's not that game, even if it's not that campaign, even if it's not even that game system, keep that information because it will always be handy. Alright, group will succeed only if they grow together. Okay, yeah. Map. Oh, and I didn't do the map, but I'll do that anyways. Cool, okay. So, they did the downtime. I actually had them going to sloop load dock. Actually, it's sloop load dock. A Kuo-toa village by the Dark Water Lake. And actually, we could delete this note because I've internalized it. Plus, it's in the older versions of the notes. Kuo-toa. I believe that there's a hyphen in there. Kuo-toa village by Darkwater Lake. This will bring the group in line with the opening of Out of the Abyss. Not to be confused with Into the Abyss, which is an anime. Although I think there are similar themes, interestingly enough. But anyhow. Alright, so follow the story beats. Maybe let group prevent religious fervor. Is it VOR? I think it's OR. Okay. Also include group of prison escapees. Bring in the remainder of the prisoners from Valkenveld. So who's that going to be? Darendil. Sereth. Actually, I might want to get my book out. Dark Lake, Hook Horror Layer. Good news is that a lot of the things that happen in the very beginning I can actually use because the group is not going to be too weak to actually do any of it. So that's good. The whole Valkenvalve prison is neat, but I've run it so many times it just kind of stops being interesting. Like it's almost a speed bump to the adventure. And there's bits about it I like, but I don't know. I think if I was ever going to do this part again, the Valkenvalve prison, for those of you who know the Out of the Abyss game, I would maybe really seriously consider doing it differently. But I mean, I kind of do that anyways anytime I run the same adventure more than once. Bupido. Eldeth. Ront. I will still not include Jimjar. I think I might just withhold the Jimjar having. Ooh, but I will include Stool. Shushar. And then there's Topsy and Turvy, who are actually already there. So yeah, those are the NPCs. I know them well. Darendil is a Quaggoth. Thinks he is an elven prince. Sereth. We're going to change this a little bit. Drow adherent of Zugtamoy. Oops. Bupido, we're going to largely keep the same because I'm more interested in how this is going to play out. But I want to change one important thing. Because Bupido is a, what do you call them? A Darrow. But that's a little too obvious, and I don't want to like lean into that whole thing. So why don't we make him... No, I don't want to make him a kobold or a goblin or anything like that. How's about we make Bupido into a human? Oop. Let's see. Sorry, I'm sending a message. Oops, then we can... Sorry, I type and speak at the same time. It's just what I do. Start. Smiley face. Nope, I don't want to do it that way. Boop, and boop, and boop. Okay. Oh, hello! I just sent you a message, but you probably saw it, and then now I'm talking to you. I did your bit, so you don't have to worry about seeing things you shouldn't. And I already censored it, so even if we go down there, you won't see it. Bupido, you know what I'm going to do with Bupido is I'm going to make him a dwarf. Otherwise, same. Cultist of Orcus. I guess not otherwise same, because he wasn't exactly that before. But I think that'll be more interesting. Eldith. Lizard folk. Otherwise same. All right. Orc malcontent, same. Stool 100% same. Shushar, same. All right, this should be interesting. I think instead of Demogorgon, group will fight. Let's just say 3 Ettins. Let's say Shadow of Demogorgon looms large. So there's, instead of just having demon lords show up and scare the crap out of people, we're just gonna give like the hints of them so that they can save Sloop Lodop. And then that way, like, it's more of a, hey, we're reestablishing. Because if Demogorgon shows up, he's just going to trash everything. And then because they're going to do a diplomatic mission and they can't do it, so we're just changing things. And then 3 Ettins should be really tough for this group, even with all of their allies. But I think that should be fine. All right, I think that sews up the Monday-Tuesday game. We're not actually going to play it for quite some time. Because next week and the week after that are vacations, and then the week after that we get back. And there's not going to be school Monday or Tuesday, so we might only do a game on Wednesday. We'll see how that works. So the Wednesday game stuff that I did before, we haven't done anything with since. So I think we can skip these bits. Let's see, fans or spies. Okay, yeah, I need to really lean into that. Mestranor. Okay, so they still have to deal with the Yellow King. Thursday, same thing. We already know what we want to do. Aurora Borealis, Gakwa. So that's easy enough. Sam, please don't listen to or look at this stuff. But now we're done. We can go to the next part. Peril and a Bear, recent games. Oh, I see the redacted bits. The intrigue. Yes, I added more to it, so that there should be some interesting stuff now on the next game. Let's see. Just finished dungeon. Oh yeah, so there's all this stuff to do. Saturday game. When did I stream this? Jorian died. Cultist slaughtered. What comes next? Go free Phoenix. Okay, yeah, we did play since the last time that this happened. So let's just, whoops, wait a second. What happened to the music? There we go. All right. So anyhow, let's just do kind of sort of a fresh start. So a lot of stuff happened. Yep. Okay, Marluth. Okay, we're gonna keep that bit about Marluth. Next game. Is Aurora Borealis at this time of day in this part of the internet, located specifically within your stream? Yes. Next game. Downtime may introduce the Lieutenant Commandant, son of the Commandant, basically Matt Berry. May I see it? No. You don't know how many times I will shoot that one back and forth with my roommate. But we're just Simpsons. We're Simpsons quote machines, and that's like, I don't know how anybody puts up with us doing that, but like, that's just what we do. We just quote Simpsons. We quote Simpsons the way that nerds in the 80s and 90s quoted Monty Python. All right. So basically, Matt Berry group will have to do stuff is commissioned to go to the Tomb of Annihilation. Let me think. May be able to save clerics in town from bone disease, but will have to fight, let's say, a super ghost on tallest building at midnight. I think that should be a neat little thing to do in town. And of course, everything's catching up. Alright. Emphasis on downtime and getting to know each other. Each person will have a clue pertaining to their past that will help revive clerics. Alright. Hopefully I don't forget about that next time. Alright. So the Sunday game, so the big reveals already happened. I can delete that part. Let's see, there's a lot of stuff that I can delete. Towers, that already all happened. The fight with fake Uzus happened. I actually changed this significantly. So, alright, real quick recap. Kavesh the Lizard Man turned into demigod. Matt will make a new character. I can do Simpsons quotes, but my knowledge is a hodgepodge of English and Spanish. Sometimes I'll blurt out, La grande le puse cuca. That's okay. I have to imagine that's like I call the big one mighty. Yes, okay. And my Anglophone friends will have no idea. See, I knew that. Like, I knew that's what you were talking about. I knew that was the line. La grande le puse cuca. I'm gonna have to start saying that one now. Oh my god, that's amazing. Okay, Matt will make a new character. Big fight happened. Almost killed everyone. May have to redesign stakes of fights. Players too good. So I think I'm gonna have to just start making the fights much harder. And not necessarily making the enemies have more hit points, because that's just gonna make things more sloggy. But let's see. Probably start using tactics out of new monster books. Also making monsters act as their 3.5 versions. This is taking forever. Alright, and then real quick, meet with gods. They will create the rainbow. Do we want it to be a rainbow? Let's just call it Stardust Gateway to Sulazar. Gods can go, inspired cannot. May require a magic item tax for going through the gateway. That's going to be really controversial, but I'm kind of sick of the stuff going on right now. So Yeah, there's some real shenanigans going on with some of the stacked up magic items, so we'll see. We'll see. That, and this is just more my saltiness talking, so I might go back on that. Consider some other thing to do, maybe. Shreg. Meeting with... Just tested your pad, by the way, and it's working as glad. Oh, nice. And with the Switch and on PC. Ooh. Back into the box. No need to fear me leaving messy. Oh, no, I would never. And if anything, I would love to have some artifact of yours on my pad. I would not be upset if there was a fingerprint of yours on there. All right, meeting with gods will be a big conversation about Sulazar. Ooze, and lots of things. Maybe have the gods give away secret of Whisper and Clementine. That might be mean, but I mean, I kind of think they would just know that right off. Also have Sinu arrive and complain to gods about the way they treated her. Probably will take up a whole session. Alright. Future planning. Consider Sulazar as a world conquered and ruled by dangerous and terrible creatures. Lots of undead, fiends, aberrations, evil elementals, corrupted giants. Let's see, what am I missing here? I guess monstrosities. But that's for the future. Alright. We've more or less got what we want to do. I guess it's an S. Yep. Alright, given that this is a whole new stream, short as it may be, what are we at, 28 minutes? Okay, we can stop relatively soon. But we will then have a relatively short, truncated D&D and Q&A. Looney, have you got any questions for me? And for that matter, anybody in the chat who is not a bot, feel free to ask questions. This is your moment to plumb the significantly limited knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons that I have. Items on your wish list are now discounted. No worries, dear. It's bound to have the smell of my perfume on it from being in my room for so long. I wear femme all the time, and it's a tad strong. I will treasure that. Oh wow, everything on my wish list from Good Old Games is on sale. Maybe I'll get some Ease games. Okay, yes, I have Q. Tell me Q. Oh man, the Ease games are real cheap. Maybe I'll go for some of them. literally everything is on sale. This is ridiculous. Oh, maybe I'll finally get Dragon Age DRM free. That might be something awesome. Yeah, the Ys games are so cheap. Except for Ys 7. Oh man, the Might and Magic games are dirt cheap too. Sorry, I'm just going on I can't talk on and on about this. On and on. Gosh, what am I? 5 with a lisp. I've been looking out with some of these copyright-free lo-fi beats, and I'm pretty happy with them. What's the scariest antagonist enemy you've come up with? That's interesting. So, obviously there's the Tarrasque. And if you've never seen the Tarrasque, let's see. Let's just shoot this out there. Size comparison. And I say the Tarrasque because that's just the standard go-to. Oh man, do they have a Tarrasque compared to like Godzilla? That's kind of neat. So, sorry, this is not the best way to display this. Open image in new tab, and I'm actually curious about that. Oh, come on! How about this? Alright, that's somewhat better. Open. No? Open. I just want to be able to show the whole thing. Alright, well, oops. So yeah, that's the Tarrasque. You see like those birdies up there? Or I mean, no, you see those. Let's see, does this show? Yeah. Do you see these birdies up here? That's how big this thing is. Siri, stop. Siri, tell me a joke. Oh my god. Anyways, so this is the Tarrasque. It's massive, it's dangerous, it's like the strongest by the numbers thing that they have in the monster manual. If you open up your monster manual, Looney, you will see this. It is the toughest thing in there. And that's a standard answer. That's like what most people will say. More to the point, I ran a whole game for a group of people, and let's see, we're gonna go here because this is kind of relevant. I ran people through the kind of steampunk setting of Eberron, and they had to fight the Yellow King. What they're gonna fight here in the Wednesday game is like barely a Yellow King. It's like if the Yellow King kind of sneezed and they were fighting the sneeze of the Yellow King. That's what they're fighting. It's nothing really compared to what the Yellow King is. What they fought in the other game for the Eberron campaign was the Yellow King was trying to manifest itself, and in doing so, it basically chose a demon lord to possess. And so it was like you've played Saga 3, aka Final Fantasy Legends 3, and when Zagor was trying to possess Soul, that was kind of my inspiration for that. So Zagor was trying to possess Saul, and what they weren't fighting Zagor, they were fighting Zagor combined with Saul, and that's kind of what they were fighting. Was they were fighting kind of like the astral projection of the Yellow King melded with an imprisoned demon lord god, and that was what they fought. This thing would have beat the crap out of the Tarrasque. And it was a big, giant, epic fight that had, I think, 3 stages. And part of it involved people having to come to terms with each other. Like, one of the stages was like, you all need to squash the beef you have with each other as characters. And so it was like almost like a mini instrumentality between fight phases. Jesus Lord, that big boy looks like a Devil Joe and a Lao Shan looms. The fuck didn't have a baby. He must have had some delicious carves. The armor weapons you could forge from him. Yes, absolutely. If the Tarrasque was a Monster Hunter monster and you were making armor, oh man, that would be amazing. Actually, that would be really good. But yeah, so Yellow King merged with a Demon Lord. That was the ultimate fight of that campaign, and I think that's the scariest thing I've ever come up with. Although there's been like creepier things that I've done in the past, like just abjectly creepier monsters, like a Werewolf the Apocalypse game that I ran where the Nexus crawler was just, the way I described it was just really creepy. But Nexus crawlers are like, very powerful things that you might have to fight, but just, not like particularly dangerous compared to other things. Let's see, let's go back to this. Okay. So let's just let's just write that out. So scariest antagonist I made up ? Yellow King merged with Demon Lord / God. Yeah, hello King. All right. Next question, if you've got one. If not, we can end this here in a minute. And again, if there's anyone watching the stream who would like to ask a question, this is my segment, D&D and Q&A. Ask me anything. I may not have the best answer, but I will have an answer for you. Man, God, I keep forgetting to update the actual name of the stream. I just get the episode wrong. I have more cues. Yes, please give me cues. In the meantime, let me think. So I've only really ever played a character to level 20 2 times. One of them was Adventurers League, and that kind of cheats because you only have to play like 24 games to get to level 20, something like that. But one of the games I played, I was a paladin, Ralston Edgemere, and we had to fight the Tarrasque, 3 Pit Fiends, and Tiamat. We were a tough group. We managed it somehow. That's why that dungeon master gave me one of the dice that he had out of a set, kind of as like a reward for completing that campaign. And I keep it because that's the dice that helped kill Tiamat. Boy, and that was a tough fight too. What's the most memorable smackdown you've laid on a player that got too cocky or cheeky? Ooh, there's quite a few. I remember one time we were playing Exalted, and so that's Exalted is similar to Dungeons and Dragons, but different enough. It's very anime. It's very like over the top. But one of the there's different kinds of Exalted. There's Solar Exalted, who are just all around badasses. There's Lunar Exalted, who are shape changers extraordinaire, mostly animalistic. and so on and so forth. So one of the players was playing a lunar, and they have like this amazing ability to regenerate, and an amazing ability to not take damage. Like they can have super armor and super regeneration. And so he got really like convinced that he was invincible. So I just took like kind of a lame enemy that could just do a lot of little attacks, because his whole thing was, this player was like, I'm not even going to dodge or defend because I don't have to. And so this guy just hit with a bunch of little attacks that did a lot of damage because of a little exploit, just to be like, dude, come on, don't be ridiculous, don't just like ramp up things on one side to make yourself like super amazing, because it's just going to be obnoxious for me to try and get around that. And it's like, guess what? I can still do it. You took down a Tarask and Tiamat? Jesus fuck, no wonder you're a monster killing machine. Christ alive, you were born for this. I mean, it was a group. The group was amazing. Yeah, we were just a very well-oiled machine of like fighting and doing well. But we had a very impressive wizard on our team. It was me, who is mostly a level 20 paladin. Another gentleman who is a like high level fighter, and he started taking levels in paladin because of me. A druid who is just absolutely like bonkers great. A rogue who is doing like wicked amounts of damage, and a bard who actually was a better healer than anyone else in the group. Like the bard was able to heal people up from like almost 0 to full, and we're talking like hundreds of hit points worth of healing. So it was like an MMO raid. It was like really well performed, and we did a really good job of just doing ridiculous amounts of damage to Tiamat. And that was harder too, because of the way that dungeon master ran that fight. Because not only did we have to fight Tiamat, but we had to fight Chaos Emeralds that were like creating bonus hit points basically for Tiamat. And we weren't doing full damage until the crystals were destroyed. I had a ring of air elemental command that like busted up about 2 or 3 of the rings. Let's see, this playlist gets quiet at odd times, but anyhow, yeah, it was an epic fight. I might just have to do a stream talking about that fight at some point. Another Smackdown I put on certain characters, like I feel like there's characters who get too cocky in other senses, and it's like I'm always able to like find out ways of just kind of bringing them down a notch. But I remember one of the characters went into a bar and was talking to an NPC, like a cleric of Umberlee. And clerics of Umberlee are like not nice people. They worship the sea because they know the sea is a merciless killing machine, and they kind of act that way too. So he goes in there and sits down and starts talking to the cleric of Umberlee, this like very outwardly appearing beautiful woman. And he buys her a drink, and she just looks at him while he's talking to her, takes a finger and puts it on the top of the wine glass that he bought for her, and just tips it over, and then looks away and doesn't say anything else. And I think that was a more epic takedown than any attack or enemy that I could have ever thrown out there. I have had some characters who think that they can pull back and just be completely ranged attackers without ever getting hit. Well, I think I'm going to have to start doing some stuff about that too. And I'm going to introduce old spells from older editions, like Protection from Arrows. That's a fun spell. And that's going to be very interesting how that works out. But yeah, those are some examples of some Smackdowns. It's like if somebody builds their character to one very specific thing, the enemies pay attention, and the smart ones start tailoring their defenses and their minions to fight against that. So that's the thing. That's gonna happen. Any other questions, or shall we end this stream early? Haha, damn, remind me to never get overconfident in one of your games. No worries. The overconfidence that I usually have issues with is like when people think that they've made their characters invincible. When people have concocted these like wicked It's like, you know, when you play an MMO or you play some kind of game and you're like, oh, I've got the killer strategy. It's like, well, are we doing strategy here? Because you could be playing XCOM. Go play XCOM. Don't play D&D for that. Go play 4th edition D&D. That's more your speed. But the question is, what's the most memorable Smackdown you've laid on a player that got too cocky or cheeky? Question mark. I am going to share a story, though. I remember we were playing a variant, like we were basically just playing this like house ruled game where it was Gundam. So we were playing a Gundam game, and it was kind of like, oh, we're pilots and we're like this, you know, ragtag group fighting against like this authoritarian regime, like you do in Gundam. And well, some Gundam, anyways. But anyways, one of the players was like, "There's too many NPCs. Like, there's too many other characters." And one of the NPCs was like his character's girlfriend. So that dungeon, that game master is you say game master when it's not D&D, but that game master was like, okay, so one of the plot elements was like a nuclear bomb went off, killing a bunch of NPCs, including that character's girlfriend. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, careful what you wish for. It helps I'm super paranoid about Klaus because I don't want to see him die. I like the tree ending for him one day. Yeah, I think that'd be grand. I don't ever really set out to necessarily kill a character or be like that kind of, you know, dungeon master. Although my Sunday group says bring it on. They're like, if people die, they die, and so I'm trying to be way more lethal, and so they're gonna feel the wrath. They really don't understand what they're doing, but they're gonna feel the wrath. Like a lot of them almost died last game. A lot. In fact, it's really funny. I'm gonna have to show you because I created a sprite. I basically just pulled the sprite for Dark Force from Phantasy Star 4 from the Garubek Tower, and I used that, and they had to fight that. And then what was it? The monster that you had suggested was what I ended up throwing at them as one of the things. That Monster Hunter one, and I cannot remember what it was. Just the name because I'm not super well versed. But yeah, I used that monster and they were really appreciative of it. Like they thought that it looked really cool. But all right. Any other? Whoops! I didn't even write what I said. Okay, so other GM killed NPCs when player complained that there were too many. Dark Force, yeah, holy tits, that's hardcore. Yeah, they're fighting dark. Like they're probably gonna be fighting the profound darkness. Like that's how badass the thing is that they're eventually gonna fight. But they're fighting dark forces because Gogmazios. Yeah, they fought Gogmazios. Because Dark Force first sprung out a bunch of like, you know, smaller enemies when it reached a certain point on its hit points, and then when it reached half, it spawned a Gogmazios, and then they had to fight that. Sure, I got another cue. Yeah, by all means. While you ask that question, I'm gonna finish answering this by typing it out. Let's see. Laid down a RP Smackdown. Also, humbled a lunar exalt. Trying to think of some other Smackdowns that I might have enacted. What is the most OP benevolent force in D&D as an ostensibly the side of objectively good? It's hard because very few things are quote-unquote good, because D&D just tends to kind of be like, everybody's jerks. Not as bad as some other stuff. It's not like Warhammer where like there's not a good guy in Warhammer 40k necessarily. Like as a faction or a force of the universe. But let's talk about a few things. So some people would point to Bahamut because Bahamut like exists in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's where the Bahamut you see in Final Fantasy came from. But Bahamut opposes Tiamat. Bahamut is the god of good dragons. Some people place him as the strongest god. Bahamut being like one of the strongest gods, like kind of this ultimate force for good, is only really applicable in certain settings, like Dragonlance. Because in Dragonlance, you have Bahamut or Paladine, but goes by both names, and Tiamat or Takesis also goes by both names. And they're basically like the ultimate force for good and evil. They're like the Marfa and Valis of Lodos Wars. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that's just what the inspiration for those things were in Lodos Wars was just Tiamat and Bahamut. But that being said, in the Forgotten Realms setting, you have Ao, and Ao is the overgod. When the gods got uppity and tried to steal the tablets of power, Ao turned all gods mortal. He had that ability. Ao was like, oh yeah? You're all mortal. You all have to fend for yourselves. If a mortal kills you, he will take your place when I reverse this decision. And it happened. Gods died. But that was to show them it's like you think you're hot shit. You're not. I'm that much more powerful, and you just have to respect the office of Ao. That's for the Forgotten Realms. There's other places where they talk about like these ultimate forces for good, but they don't honestly tend to exist very much in most settings, because if there was an ultimate force of good, it would just be evil, and that would be that. Most of the what am I trying to say? Most of the drama or the tension in Dungeons and Dragons is that, like, you know, people are the ultimate good, and they have to fight against the evils that occur. Ao is powerful and does a lot of things, but he also kind of is indifferent. He tends not to care about things unless something like really crazy happens. He won't typically tend to step in. And so you don't have like some super good guy who just pops in and fixes things. He's more worried that the gods will try and overstep their boundaries, making sure that everything is kind of where it's supposed to be. I think he might have had a hand in fixing things like the spell plague that happened and so on. But that's it. There's certain settings where it's like, oh yeah, there's a supreme ultimate power of good, but he doesn't really do stuff because his interaction would be like, it would be like if a person was trying to meddle with like an ant colony, because the ant colony was like being attacked by, I don't know, termites or something, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, the greater good, we're going to pray. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the ant colony. Nobody's going to go in there and do anything about it until it affects them. Maybe the termites attack the house of God, and God's like, oh, we're doing something about this. And that's the only time you really see it. It's helpful because it really, really sucks. I've seen other role-playing games do this where it's like there is something super powerful and there is something that is quote-unquote good, and you ask yourself, why isn't it fixing all of these problems? Why isn't this thing making the world right? Like we do about capital G God, Yahweh, whatever. Why would an all-loving creator let the world be this horrendous piss pot? But that's maybe a different conversation for a different time and a different stream. But does that answer your question? And again, anybody else listening, please ask your questions. Nightbot, do you have a question? But you're a force of good. Why won't you intervene? Because I'm a Trek fan. Prime Directive. And I mean, look, Star Trek did the best job of exemplifying exactly why a godlike being would not be a good being. Might be a curious being, might meddle, but it would never fix. Not in the way we'd want it to, anyway. Yes, dear, that was exactly what I wanted to know. Fantastic. I might have missed nuances to everything, but that's more or less that. We are just 4 minutes, or I guess 3 minutes shy of an hour, so this might be a good place to stop. But if you have one more question, I will entertain that question. Oh wow, I'm looking at some size comparisons, and it looks like Devil Joes are bigger than Tarrasques. But there we go. We had a very productive stream. I didn't have to go over all of the information today, which is good, because I did want to end relatively early to be able to do a few other things. So it didn't need to be a full-fledged one, because most of the games that I planned for have not happened, and so all of the plans that I've made, I can certainly 1,000% apply. Devil Joe are bigger than Tarrasques? What the Christ? Where does that leave Lao Shan Lung? I don't know, actually. Never expected Leviathan from Atlantis was bigger than... Oh wow. Leviathan from Atlantis? What the hell are they talking about? I thought Tarrasques were bigger because of the bird's perspective. People draw them in different ways. Oh, so the Disney's Atlantis had a Leviathan, and that thing apparently is just super duper amazingly big. That's interesting. Yeah, the Trask has gotten like various different sizes, and they're very original Dungeons and Dragons. The Trask was like, it was like Bowser size. It was not terribly big. Fresh out of queues for this one, love Sawi. No worries. This is a grand time to stop. So we're at an hour basically now. But there we go. We planned a little bit and we answered some questions, and I think that we are good. That was right at that sweet spot that I was actually wanting to do. So we're going to go ahead and end it there. Thank you to all of those who are watching or will watch, who have listened or will listen. We're actually going to see if we can't... see, no, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and end the stream and just make it nice and easy. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, my love, for coming and watching and asking questions. And yeah, there we go. Remember, I play, I plan, and I run games for you.